Just how important is brand building? Is it something that companies should be thinking about? Is it a must-have or just something nice to have?
Obviously, for me, brand building is important, but there are brands that don't engage what we are calling brand building, and still are successful. And that mostly comes down to being at the right place at the right time, having the right cost and the right product. Um, but these people are successful and they don't feel they need brand building.
Okay. Can any business build a brand, or is it something that a select few have the identity to do? Do you feel anyone could, in reality, build a brand? Is it something that you could help anyone do or any company do?
I think everyone has a brand, whether you like it or not, or consciously engaging in brand building. You have a brand. You know, even the plumber has a brand. You know, it's your daily interactions. It's how you behave yourself, the little details. If you're a plumber, if you wear a polo shirt with your logo on, if you don't, you know, these things are all components in brand building, and we obviously need to separate what sometimes everyone refers to as a brand, which is the visual, the logo, the identity, the nice stuff, and all other components that are very, very important that people sometimes seem to overlook or miss.
So, like the essence of a brand versus the aesthetics and the visual representation of a brand, that's what you're talking about.
Exactly, sort of the brand value. So a brand is essentially a perception. And it's not what you think about, it's what other people think about it. So a brand lives in other people's minds, you know, not in yours. So you need to make sure that you get into that space with how you behave, what you portray, what you do, and the details you put out relating to your brand.
Okay. And is brand building or the building of a brand something that is only for companies who want to grow what they currently have? Or is there purpose for a company that's happy where they are and they just want this external perception? Do you only work with companies who really want to grow and scale?
I work with all kinds of companies and people or companies, organizations who want to grow really do need to have a brand in place and they do need the foundations in place. But it's not just businesses who want to grow, even businesses that want to build the tribe, you know, around their business, the community, and create this long-term connection with the customers or attract customers who they want to be part of their tribe. I think that's very important.
Okay, so there's a lot about retention of clients here. So building a brand is something that really
Attraction
helps you.
and then after that retention, because if you do the brand identity part, which is the part that I would come in at if I'm working with you. But then, you know, your brand foundation, your brand values, the mission and the vision, they're all mixed up, they're not clear. Or maybe your employees are not sharing the same mission and vision. You know, that becomes clear and that becomes disjointed. So then the retention won't happen.
Okay, and you're touching upon a point that I really wanted to speak to you about, which is this psychological aspect of brand building. And it sounds like it's something you have to do almost to understand. Like, how do you get in there with a company and understand their psychology, understand what's going on in this company and what that's going to look like to the public? Like, what's that all about?
Before any branding project that we do, it's a non-negotiable that we go in, we talk to people, interview most likely the founder or the top management, the leadership, you know, to understand a bit their thought process, what they do in the business, how they do it, if there, you know, there's an attention to detail. More often than not, you get sort of this cooperation from them, and it's great to have it. Sometimes you don't get this cooperation, which sort of leads to, you know, this saying, are they ready for this exercise?
Okay.
But we sort of have these methods in place through a workshop that we facilitate or bring out these values. If they don't have these values or they haven't thought about it, it would be great for us to sort of extract those values or even help them, like, write them down. And more often than not, it helps them, you know, create their core focus so that they know what their mission and vision is and what their value is.
So there's really a lot more to this than just the concept of sitting in your studio and coming up with colors and artwork. There's a whole psychological principle behind it you need to understand.
Exactly. And I think the brand identity is it's a very important component, but it's not the only one. And it's almost kind of not the smallest one, but on its own, it can't work. There's a book called The Brand Gap. I suggest it to anyone like who likes these things, you know, in the psychology and delving into all details of what makes a brand. And Marty, the author, says the sweet spot is right between the creativity and the strategy. You know, you need to bring those together. And it's not too much strategy. It's not too much identity or creativity. It's the sweet spot in the middle sort of that makes that difference.
And is that where brands can go wrong? So in this process of creation or after that process and the brand is alive and around, is that where kind of things can go a bit sketchy if they go too much into the strategy component or too much into the creative component and and like ignore the roots?
If you go too much into the strategy component and not too much into the creativity and identity, then you have a business which no one knows about. If you go too much into the identity and create this impression or this perception, and people come to your business, but then you don't deliver, then you won't have the retention. You won't build a tribe, and you don't have the connection. People probably won't, experience your brand again, or will leave an insane amount of time until they're convinced to maybe try again.
Trust you. Yeah. I mean, after these couple of minutes of discussion, it sounds like there's a massive difference between brand as a word and just the creation of a logo. I think a lot of people kind of have this mindset that I just need a logo for my company and that's where Matthew and Sancho are going to come in. But in reality, it sounds like it's much deeper than that.
So how do we successfully perform our job? It's translating the values into the visual. We use the tools and sort of these design perceptions that are accepted worldwide. Sometimes not, sometimes we push the boundaries. I think we'll talk about that when we talk about Rise as well. But we need to create the perception beforehand of what you're all about. So when people see the logo, and it happens, you're in the supermarket, you see packaging and you say, this is going to be good. If you go home, open the packet and it's not good, that's not
expectation.
That's what I call success. Exactly. So if we perform our job well, what you see in front of you is translated into the experience. And when you go there, you say, okay, I understand. It all seems, like one big thought out, brand company.
Yeah, so it's a lot more than just wallpaper kind of thing. It's not just a wrapping. It's reflecting the brand's real values, the depth, like what it's all about. If it's a service-based industry, then like kind of the customer experience. If it's a product, what that product should represent. It's a lot more than just putting something pretty over something and hoping for the best.
Exactly. It's a nice to have, but it's also nicer if the feeling that they are getting from the visuals are also reinforced with the experience.
Are you thinking about building a custom home gym or maybe upgrading your fitness studio? Then let me recommend Sweat.mt, the team that we use to equip our flagship training grounds in Balzan. Sweat.mt works with brands like Matrix, Kingsbox, Center High Rocks, some of the best in the business. They have over 15 years of experience in both home and commercial gyms. You can book a free on-site visit and get a tailored setup based on your space, your goals, and how you actually train. Their customer service is beyond fantastic, and I think it's one of the big things they pride themselves on. Quotes can easily be split into 12, 15, even 18 monthly payments, and every order includes a dedicated installation and onboarding team. We're very happy to offer a 5% discount on all orders made through the podcast. It's as simple as heading over to sweat.mt, opening their calendar, choosing a time that works for you, and adding #RisePodcast in the notes. The team will apply the discount automatically.